Every one of us is tasked with bringing the world to perfection. This week's Parashah reveals a secret to help us do just that. The story of creation in chapter 1 of Bereshit follows a progression from simple to complex, from chaos to order, from light to water to land to plants to simple animals to complex animals and finally humans. At the end of the sixth day, the world was perfect and Hashem rested on the seventh day. But then the eighth day happened. Reading beyond chapter 1, we read about what happens beginning on that eighth day. We read about a world that is far from perfect. It's a world where humanity immediately acts contrary to Hashem's will. It's a world with lying, with blame, and murder. How could the creation of Hashem become so imperfect? It seems as soon as humanity is given the keys, things go off the rails. And we spend the rest of the Torah, and really the rest of human history, trying to get things back on track. Shmini Atzeret is the eighth day of assembly, the eighth day. And in the understatement of the year, Shmini Atzeret, the eighth day, in 2023, things really went off the rails. Never in my lifetime has the world been so far from perfection. To borrow from the opening of the Parashah, the world feels tohu vavohu. But right in the story of creation itself, we have the answer for combating that tohu vavohu. If the world went off the rails on the eighth day, be it the original eighth day in this week's Parashah, or that terrible eighth day of Shmini Atzeret, 2023, the solution is to go back to the state before that eighth day, back to the seventh day, Shabbat, the day Hashem rested after creating a perfect world. But in order to bring the world back to that perfection, we need to remind ourselves what a perfect world looks like. On Shabbat, we are commanded to cease interfering with the world. We stop asserting our mastery over it, changing it from its natural state. We cease doing acts of creation, and by so doing, attest that the world as created by Hashem is perfect. Yes, Shabbat is a day to rest. It's a day to connect with family, a day to connect with ourselves, a day to connect with Hashem. But it's much more than that. It's a day to recognize that when we take our hands off the controls and leave it up to Hashem, we're able to catch a glimpse of that perfection that was present in the world on that original Shabbat. Shabbat happens every week whether we do anything about it or not. But in order for us to catch a glimpse of heaven on earth, we need to be active participants. We need to do our part to make Shabbat. This weekly series is going to be about action. Learning is great, but learning needs to lead to doing, and doing is what's needed to repair the world. I'm going to challenge each and every one of you to act each week. Act in some small way that'll move the world, even a tiny bit, closer towards perfection. This week, I challenge you to bring Shabbat into the world. If you don't usually light Shabbos candles, light them. If you light candles but don't make Shabbat Kiddush, make a Kiddush. If you know something about making Shabbat, invite a guest and share it. If you don't, get yourself invited somewhere and learn. Take a pause from this tohu vavohu world that we are in and allow ourselves to catch a glimpse of what a perfect world is supposed to look like. We usually say that we keep Shabbat. We rest on the seventh day because Hashem rested on the seventh day. But perhaps we have that backwards. Perhaps Hashem rested on the seventh day so that we could have the gift of Shabbat. Hashem rested on the seventh day of creation in order to give us the opportunity every week to remind ourselves what a perfect world should look like. This gift of Shabbat is this week's Parashah's secret to perfecting the world. That is one thing we can do to perfect the world. How will you step up this week to bring the world a little closer to perfection? Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisrael Chai.